Okay, here's a fantastic dish. This is cassoulet from the Languedoc in France, a very classical French dish, a long slow braise of ham hock, of morteau sausage, of duck, white beans of course, beautiful stock. This goes in the oven for a long time and it yields utter pleasure. Stay with me. Okay, so for our wonderful cassoulet, what we've got here are a few things that are really essential for this. We've got a ham hock. This has been cooked in boiling water for an hour and a half, so it's already partly cooked and then chilled. We've got a morteau sausage, that wonderful smoked sausage. We've got a little bouquet garni. We've got a couple of duck legs, lots of garlic, really important, a couple of veggies, carrot, celery and onion. We're cooking the whole thing all the way in duck fat. That's really important. And of course, we've got our wonderful white beans that have been soaked overnight in cold water. That is cassoulet. Let's get it done. In goes the duck fat to start off with. Now, these lovely duck legs have been salted overnight, very gently, just salt and thyme. It draws out all the moisture and penetrates the seasoning into it. They go into the pan and they're going to brown slightly. This is all about adding lovely flavors into the cassoulet and allowing it to have much more depth. So we'll just turn that up and get those duck legs browned really nicely. In with the morteau sausage, but I'm just going to cut that into 2 pieces so I can get a color on there as well. So that's that amazing morteau sausage. In that goes to the pan, and we'll get nice color on that. Right, while that's all browning away, we're going to get a few veggies prepped. Large veg because it's going to cook for 3 hours at 160 degrees. So it's very important those veggies are not too small. So just prep those like that. Carrot, celery and onion, the usual. So this dish originates from the Languedoc in France. It's a very classic French, almost like a peasant dish. It would have been something that people cook at home a lot and braise, like I guess like we would a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie. But with most things in France, it just has that extra level of depth and flavour and intensity that I love. So we're going to get on and cook this wonderful cassoulet. There's my veggies, my garlic, everything. And this is the ham hock that spent an hour and a half in cold water up to the boil, change the water and then hold on to it there. Okay, so got a little bit of colour on that duck now. A little bit of colour on the morteau sausage. This is really about letting those ingredients bleed into the duck fat and impart flavour in there. That's what's really important here in this. This is going to feed like 8 people. And it's quite a nice way of feeding all those people because it's really like mixed up and everybody gets a bit of everything. In goes the carrots and the onions, in goes the celery. Now, in goes the garlic, face down with the garlic because that will give you a nice colour on the garlic as well, get nice coloration. What I'm not doing, you notice, and really importantly, I'm not seasoning this. No salt. There's salt already penetrated into the duck, there's salt in the morteau sausage, there's salt in the ham hock. This whole thing doesn't need salt. The other reason is, really importantly, these beans, when you cook beans like this, you don't want to season the water. They split and they become very open. So the salt in here will already disrupt these beans. So what you don't want to do is add more salt and disrupt them further. That's it. So we just brown these vegetables, get that going really nicely. I remember the first time I ever ate cassoulet. I knew about cassoulet, but I'd never actually eaten it in a restaurant. And Vicky and I moved to South London. We went to a little restaurant up in Wandsworth called the Auberge. I don't know if it's still there now, but it was a very small family-owned restaurant, very, very French. And we ordered, the cassoulet was on the menu, we ordered it, and it came up in this terracotta thing. It was absolutely enormous. Bubbling, full of duck fat and duck confit and beans, and it was just beautiful. But we ate the whole thing. I think we like crawled out the restaurant. We were so full and so sort of, it was just so filling and so overwhelmingly delicious. We crawled out the restaurant. And I don't think I've ever eaten it in a restaurant since, actually. Oh, that's not true. I did eat it in Poulet Pot in Paris. So I did eat it there, but I don't eat it very often because that is, it's a kind of a day, it's a stopper. That's the end of the day. If you eat a cassoulet, you are, and you drink a glass of wine, you're going for a lay down and that is the end of your day. Kind of how that works. So bear that in mind when you're making this dish. Don't be making big plans for after the cassoulet because they won't take place. It's a big thing. Okay, nice little brown on the vegetables. Our garlic's got that fantastic, beautiful colour now. Now we're going to go in with all our lovely ingredients. So just construct this. In goes that semi-cooked ham hock, remember, had an hour boiling gently in water. In goes our browned morteau sausage. The flavour that's going to come out of this into here is unbelievable. Now pack all this in. In goes our duck. In goes the other duck. And then this is quite important as well. This is a bouquet garni, so that's leek. Inside there's rosemary, thyme, bay leaf in there. That goes in really nicely. Now, all we need to do is take these beans again. We soak these beans overnight. They're little white beans. They're cheap to buy, really easy to buy. And you want to scatter these in as per the recipe. It looks like a lot, but it's not. They swell, so I don't put too many in there. All right, so in goes the beans. Now, on top of that, it's going to go a lovely brown chicken stock. If you don't have brown chicken stock, you could use water, it's not a problem, or you can use a stock cube, whatever you want, but ideally, nice chicken stock goes in there next. In goes the chicken stock. It's to come up quite high. You need a lot because that chicken stock is going to get absorbed by the beans. I'm going to put a lid on that, so just a very simple cartouche. Just a paper lid. That's going to go into the oven at 160 degrees for 3 hours, which is a long time. That's it. Let's say goodbye to that. I'm going to put a spoon on top so that my fan oven doesn't blow away the cartouche. And that cartouche is there to allow evaporation to happen, not roasting, and actually just really to look after it in the oven. I wish you well, my friend. All right, so 3 hours at 160. This is obviously not the one I just made. This is the one that we made for the restaurant upstairs, where we've got this on the menu all week anyway. But I wanted to show you the construction part of it next is really important, and it's exactly what we do in the restaurant to get this ready for the customers here. So that's kind of what this thing looks like after 3.5 hours. Set solid, because it's got so much gelatinous in there, the beans are in there, the chicken stock started it, and that is just a whole flavour bomb of a container there. So what we need to do is get that into this, that then lands on the table as a beautiful, bubbling, fantastic cassoulet for the table to share. So this is what we do. We're going to lift out, we'll just make enough here for kind of 4 people. So we'll lift out some of that, one of those mortar sausage. We'll lift out that ham hock as well, clean that off. This is all cooked now, remember. Dig out our duck leg, all that jelly, beautiful jelly. There. We don't need the vegetables, we don't need the bouquet garni, we do need the beans. So these beans can go into the bottom of this dish, all the liquid as well. In go the beans, into there, they sit in the bottom. These are cooked now, don't forget, all this is cooked. Anything that shouldn't really be in there, not edible, comes out at this point. So in goes the beans. That is lovely. So the base of this is our lovely beans. Now, then I'm just going to chop this morteau sausage into pieces really. I'm not going to lose any of it, trim it up or anything like that. Just big chunks of that sausage in there. These are absolutely incredible. In goes the morteau sausage. Take off the skin of a ham hock. If you use smoked ham hocks, you don't want the skin because it's not nice, not edible. Big pieces of that lovely cooked ham hock in there. In goes the ham hock. On top of that, I'm just going to trim up our duck leg a little bit. Absolutely no one in France is ever doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to take out that thigh bone as well, just to make it easier for cooking, for eating at the end. So on that goes, there's lots of liquid in there. You would be amazed at how much there is in there. I'm also then going to put another piece of duck fat on top. All right, there we go. And now the finishing touch for this is these breadcrumbs. These breadcrumbs, as per the recipe, this is breadcrumbs with parsley and garlic. I mean, they smell absolutely incredible. They're super aroma, really important. This breadcrumb is going in as a soaking agent. It's soaking up all that stock, all the duck fat in there, and it's going to end up with all sort of crispy on top from the breadcrumbs, but also soaked with all the stock and the duck fat. They're going to be incredible. I'm pretty sure that in France they don't make green breadcrumbs like this, but I just blend the breadcrumbs with loads of lovely chopped parsley, bit of picked thyme, loads of raw garlic in there as well, bit of salt. And that is it. So we're going to leave that like that. We're going to pop that into an oven at 180 for 25 minutes. And that is enough to cook that. So you can have this ready in the fridge, organised. When your guests arrive or when you come home, you pop that in the oven. Like I said, once you eat this, it's bedtime. So there you have it. Beautiful cassoulet. Glorious cassoulet, we call it. That's the recipe title in my little folder says glorious cassoulet. For good reason. It is glorious. That gets served in the middle of the table. That gets a beautiful French baguette nice and warmed up. It gets a big pile of Dijon mustard, a bowl and a spoon. You don't need much more. I'd have a nice glass of Pinot, nice glass of Burgundy. Off you go. Happy days. Cassoulet. Well, you cooked as well, though. It's a banging recipe.
Oh, it's hot. That's delicious.
That's it, man.